Module, how to find the right thing, tools, plus a case study. A question you might have is how to decide what are the right things to do. To show you a process you can follow, I'd like to take you through a very fast case study. The case study is about the SNCF, the national train line in France. They have an issue with people complaining about a lack of seats on trains. Too many people are frustrated because they need to stand on the way to work in the morning or stand on the way back from work in the evening. What follows is a very fast summary of a process showing the questions to ask to find the right things to focus on. If you'd like to know more about this process, take some time to go through the course readings. In the course readings, you'll find a chapter on each of the 5 steps. Identifying the right thing to do in your organization is critically important. It's worth the time. Let's get back to the case study. Here we're looking at commuters coming in on the 7:30 a.m. train. Well, not really. It's not that bad yet, but it is getting there. Their objective now is how to reduce issues with standing on the train. Here's some background information. There's new construction in Paris, so demand is high. Traffic is getting worse, so demand is growing over time. And there's no way to increase capacity on specific lines, especially the periphery to Paris. A good method to decide what is right and get aligned is to go through a 5-step process. Sometimes you won't need all 5 steps, but it's best practice to go through them systematically. Step 1 is about identifying what you want to do. Step 2 is about checking if what you want to do provides value to somebody. Step 3 is to investigate new business models to deliver more value or extract more value. Step 4 is about how you're going to do it. The how is usually about getting the culture right. And step 5 is to use the True North template to share it back with your organization. Let's start at the beginning. In step 1, we work on identifying a company's mission. A mission is something that ties the company's objectives together. The 3 areas that we're going to look at is what is important, the significance. We want to get people where they need to go and reduce automobile traffic. What they can do, what are their skills? They have a modern, efficient railway network. They have a habit of millions. And what are people willing to pay for? A better, faster trip, a more fun, more comfortable trip. When you put all them together, it's like a Venn diagram where you look at the overlap between the 3. This is how the SNCF put things together for this project. Keep the service, or the perception of service, good enough so people don't change methods of transport. Step number 2 is about checking if what you want to do has real value. A mission is only right when it delivers value. For almost all products, the gold standard delivering value is helping people do a job that is important for them. This concept is called a job to be done. Let's start with a detour. What is a job to be done? I'm going to give you an example from my personal life. I used to live in London and was constantly running late in the evening. Whenever I arrived at Waterloo Station on my way home, there were pricey pre-made meals available for purchase alongside some flowers. I often bought these meals in a bouquet of flowers. Let me tell you why. In general, a job can be broken down into 3 components: the situation, the motivation, and the expected outcome. In my case, my situation was constantly being late. I was motivated to apologize to my wife and show that I care. Why? To avoid sleeping on the couch. The job of the food I was purchasing was not to feed my family, but to avoid another discussion about why I was late again. In this context, I was willing to pay a lot more than for a typical set of food and flowers. People buy products and services to get jobs done. Jobs done are what people are willing to pay for, and they will pay a lot. Let's go back to our case study. What are the jobs of people standing on the trains? Are there ways we can deliver on real jobs important to them? Jobs to be done are always context-based. They happen in a specific situation and are linked to motivations and desired outcomes. In this case, a job might be, when I go to work, I want to make my travel easier so I can be fresh and happy when I arrive at home or work. When checking your job to be done and the value you're providing, it's important to identify how will they measure progress? What is the competition? Note, often the most important competition is non-consumption. They might simply not buy. In this case, they might measure progress by comfort during the trip. They might compare taking a train versus taking a car. A good way to know if you're delivering a job is what would happen if you took it away. When trains don't run or they run late, people get upset, really upset. When people need to stand on a train, they talk about it at work. It's not something minor, it's something important. There is a job to be done here. Best estimates, around 40% of products don't do anything for anyone. It might look too simple to think about jobs to be done, but it is an important step not to skip. If companies did this systematically, 40% of products wouldn't be launched with no real job to be done. In this case, there is a job, an important job, and let's move on to step number 3. Step number 3 is looking at new business models to create or capture more value. Quite simply, the future isn't what it used to be. What leads to business success is change in category after category. 30 years ago, the focus was on operational excellence. 10 years ago, the focus was on innovation, creating new value. Today, companies need to look one step further and look at business model innovation. For this, there are 2 reasons. New business models can generate more value and capture more value. More importantly, business model innovations are systems-based. Systems are harder to copy and more sustainable and give you a long-term competitive edge. The basics of business model innovation are the following. A business model is based on 4 things: what you're offering, who you're offering to it, how are you delivering value, and how are you extracting value. I know many of you will know the business model canvas. I've chosen purposely not to use the business model canvas here, but to use a model designed by St. Gallen's with 4 parts in their business model. The reason being, it's easier to imagine ways to innovate based on this. A sustainable business model is usually different in at least 2 of the 4 areas here. A good starting point in business model innovation is to write down how things are done now. Start with what, who, how, and value creation. Then look at challenges and opportunities. What we have to offer is a seat, first or second class, on the standard SNCF train. Who, we're selling it to peak hour commuters and others. How are we doing it? By subscriptions, reductions, special cards, ordinary tickets. And the value capture, we have a discount for frequent traveler, some hourly discounts. We just get paid for tickets. It's interesting to know that we're offering discounts at the times when we shouldn't be. They're actually offering discounts that make the issue bigger than before. The challenges and opportunities are to change what we sell. Maybe we shouldn't be selling seats. Change how we do things. Maybe there should be more types of tickets. Change how we charge. Could we charge more to people traveling at a high time than at a low time? Now your challenge is to find ways to change your business model to create more value or capture more value. A great way to do this is to look at the business models of other companies. St. Gallen's University has done a great job coding business models into business model patterns. There are 55 business model patterns, which are able to explain over 90% of business model innovations in the last 150 years. They're a great way to get inspired. You can take simply a few of these cards as sparks for new ideas. No, you don't need to buy their cards, but it makes it easier. You can find free articles on their business model patterns and some academic articles. You can use ChatGPT to ask about the St. Gallen's business model patterns. You can just simply take a look at other 4 businesses. What we've done is we started with 4 of these cards that we'll go through in detail. Our first card is add-on. Basics of this business model pattern is charge a low base price and then charge for additional options. How could this be applied in this case? An idea might be a ticket with a sit-down add-on. That is a what innovation. Our second card is auction. The basics here is to let people bid different prices for the same product. How could it be applied here? We could auction the seats off. This is a what and a why innovation. Our third card is no frills. The basics of this business model pattern is to sell products with no frills. How could this be applied? The idea might be no seat tickets. This could be an innovation in all areas. Our last business model pattern is pay-per-use. The basics of this business model pattern is charge extra for extra service. How could this be applied? We could sell seats at a price. Like auction, this is a what and a why innovation. If we go back to our business model overview, you'll see all these ideas can change the way they run their business. Let's go back to the opportunities. We can change what we sell, change how we do things, change how we charge. Inspired by some other business models, here are some things they could do. They could have no seat tickets. They could auction the seats. They could have a ticket with a sit down option. They could have seats at a price. There is a lot that can be done to change the ways they deliver and capture value. Step 4 is about how to do things, the culture you'll use to deliver results. I believe culture, that is how people work together, drives everything else. The right cultural changes to make can be identified by looking at 3 key challenges. We'll illustrate using our case study as an example. Who are you today? They're a public service. They have some desire to innovate, but probably more desire to stay the same. Who do they need to be tomorrow? They need to be customer-centered, willing to treat different people differently. That's hard for a public service. And the growth objectives are to become slightly different, to see the value of treating people different, and to build the basics now. All of these questions, this step-by-step process, should help fine-tune your thinking. For the SNCF, these questions were useful. In the time we have, we can't go through all the talks. Let's just show you how we summarize things. Here's how these thoughts might fit together into a true north. Truly simple. We want to fix the standing issue. The story. If we don't change something, more people standing will get more and more frustrated. This will lead people to choose other methods of travel and increase road traffic. Our objectives. We want to reduce the standing issues or negative feelings associated with standing on a train. What we're not interested in is something that will take years to implement. We need to do something now. The tactical constraint is we can't add new capacity. We're already full. And some places we could start, if we look at load management via pricing and other techniques, we could look at new train design. We can make standing more attractive. We can make it easier for people that really want to sit to get seats at a price. To check if your true north is clear, you can use this checklist. Is your story motivating and inspiring? Are your objectives clear and easy to understand? Frankly, I think they probably could be more inspiring. Focus. Are the restrictions and tactical constraints focused enough to make sure progress is possible? Probably need more restrictions. More importantly, if you gave this to someone, would they know what to do next without asking? Probably more ideas would be useful. Based on this check, we made a few changes. The first, we want to make sure that SNCF is the preferred way to travel. We wanted to add a constraint. We want to do something within the next 30 days. We wanted to add a restriction. We wanted to test something for less than 5,000 euros. And another way to get started would be to talk with partners. Clearly, the process of deciding what is right to do in an organization is more complex than we did in the last few minutes. What I wanted to do was give you a feeling for the types of questions you should be asking. As noted earlier, you'll find more guidance in the course readings. In fact, you'll find a chapter on each of the 5 steps. Identifying the right thing to do in your organization is critically important. It is worth the time.